Radio. You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
You've had a long day at work, and you can't wait to just get home, take off your shoes, plop yourself down in your favorite chair, and relax. You walk up to your tranquil residential home and your neatly manicured lawn in your quiet suburban neighborhood, put the key in the lock, open the door, and... Yes, the pets have gone wild! What were you thinking? Welcome to the show about everything you always wanted to know about exotic pets. Where to get them, what to feed them, and how to care for them. You'll even find out why some people live with a monkey. Now, here's your host, exotic pet expert and author Bob Tarte. Hey, Bob, what were you thinking?
Hi, I'm Bob Tarte, author of the books Enslaved by Ducks, Kitty Cornered, Foul Weather, and forthcoming book, which I think is going to be called Featherbrained. But you never know, because they might change that. I am here at, where are we, Bill?
No idea.
I'm here at No Idea with book character Bill Holm, and we're having breakfast. This is part 0, part 1 or 2 of a Magee Marsh birding trip, and we were only going to make it part 1, but then we realized that we have some apologies to make, and we have enough apologies that we can do 2 parts.
My first apology is to everybody.
Yes, and also, Bill is kindly enough. You know, he's kind of a man of a poetic nature. He has a soul. And so Bill is going to start us off today, even though we just barely dragged ourselves out of bed, with a lovely discourse that answers the question, what is a bird?
Oh, wow. A bird is a creature that has certain features, like a bill, which is my name. It has feet. It's very cute. You never know what it's going to do. And you'll find that they really do like you if you treat them well, and everything will be swell.
I believe that was a poem that was published in Shorty's Poetry Review, wasn't it?
We had Resale Poetry Review.
Yeah, that was good. While we're sitting here, before we get to the apologies, I was thinking that maybe we should talk a little bit about our crushed hopes and dreams in life, because really, mornings is a good time to kind of think about the wreckage of your lives.
Well, speaking of that, Dan Kosick, the digger, is available for a free quote.
Now, he would be good on this subject because he could kind of dig deep and try and find a little hope in life.
Or bury the past.
Yeah, burying the past, absolutely. I had dreams of being a person, but I don't think those dreams are going to pan out. It just seems a little bit too late to ever become one.
Well, you have to be visible, for one thing.
That's it. You have to be visible. And that sort of brings me to the next part of this, and that is that I would like to apologize to our producer, Mark, for the content of, we'll just start with the content of the preceding podcast. Do you have something to say about that?
It's inexcusable. It's seriously inexcusable. I want to extend a personal apology, and I want to apologize on behalf of the both of us.
How would you describe the podcast we just did?
Unlistenable, uninformative, and really ultimately nihilistic.
Well, and
who wants to listen to nihilism?
You were saying last night it isn't really comedy.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
What did I say it was?
I don't think we were able to determine what it was because...
Well, it wasn't funny, that's for sure.
No.
And there's nothing of any value to anyone. I think comedy... the classic definition of comedy is that at the end of it all, there's hope, there's growth, there's progress. This was the definition of tragedy, hopelessness, and nothingness.
Coffee's pretty good today, though.
Not bad.
And we might even be getting a warm-up in just a second.
What?
We might even be getting a warm-up in just a second.
I said the weather was going to warm up in just a second.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think the weather should apologize to us.
I think so, too. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
So with that in mind, I think maybe I should apologize for the fact that yesterday's podcast inadvertently had a little bit of content.
It did?
Yeah, not much, but...
it slipped by me unnoticed.
Well, I mentioned the fact that birds often move north during migration with weather fronts that favor their flight, and that if you have a weather front that's moving in the opposite direction, more from north to south, a cold front, that'll often suppress their migration briefly. And it's probably not precisely true, but it's true enough that I apologize for it because it approaches the level of content. And also, I slept. When I was talking about us seeing birds, I actually mentioned the name of a few species, and that approaches the level of content, too.
Were they accurate?
Yeah, I'm afraid they were, because we did see the Tennessee warblers. See, you just tricked me into doing it again.
I think it's just because I feel guilty. I feel bad for our listeners. I feel bad for Mark.
I feel bad for Mark, too. We've let him down from the beginning.
I don't know. Last night I was reviewing the day in my head and regretting practically everything.
How can you not?
Yeah. I was imagining him listening to the podcast and having to make the decision: should I actually post this, or should I just tell them no, this is absolutely unacceptable? And I think because he's a nice guy and because he's I think he has, some empathy, perhaps. I don't know, but I can just see him pushing that button that says "post" with great regret.
I think the thing is that at one point he had high hopes for this podcast. That he had hopes that I would become a person who achieves some small level of fame, and that some small level of fame would be enough to catapult this podcast into the homes of maybe 50 listeners. But it just didn't pan out, did it?
No, he was completely misguided.
And the thing is, in the past, when you and I would do a podcast, I would occasionally get an email from Mark saying, I really did like that podcast you guys did. But the whole last batch we did in 2014, I think he was just weeping when he heard them, and he couldn't bring himself to even pretend that he liked what we were doing.
I completely agree. I mean, he's an honest man.
But just, it kind of sickens me to think of the fact that we're on Pet Life Radio, and here we are just blathering about nothing, and that pretty soon this podcast is going to be available on iTunes.
Do you think Steve Jobs anticipated this kind of thing when he had his great vision?
I don't think so, or he never would have allowed iTunes to get off the ground if he even dreamed of the existence of a sort of a black hole of a podcast as this one.
Well, people like him have ideals and ambitions and, personalities, and they probably assume everybody does.
So we're going back to Magee Marsh this morning. It looks like the same crummy weather we had yesterday. I think the weather people lied again.
It's scud is what it is, and it's windy.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're going to see any birds or see them any better than we saw them yesterday, but you had a very good idea yesterday.
No, I did?
Yeah, let me have a drink of coffee first, because I might be wrong about that, and I might need some caffeine.
Let me scan the memory bank to see if there's anything there.
There it is.
Could you give me another clue?
Yeah, we were talking about the fact that you've really been helped by your therapy sessions, your therapist, but that is kind of expensive booking time.
Yeah.
And, you pay about $100 a minute for your therapist.
Oh, yeah.
And so you were thinking, and he doesn't really like you to call him up.
And not every day.
No, certainly not more than 2 or 3 times a day.
Right.
And so you were thinking that maybe one way to reach out to him is to actually turn part of this podcast into an address to your therapist. So
what I learned is that my therapist actually listens to these podcasts. Yes, I think he's trying to get some kind of clue.
Maybe he's in need of therapy now.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, he probably has never run into a case like mine before.
Well, no, of course not.
And so I want to apologize just for taking up his time.
Did you have any other issues you wanted to address with him?
Did I reveal anything last night that would indicate that I did?
Well, I would be hesitant to bring any of them up because there was a beverage involved in the revelations, and it might be on second thought something that you really don't want to talk about in front of an audience of possibly 50?
See, what did I consumed so many different things last night. It's hard to even isolate any of them. Was it water?
I don't think you wanted to talk to him about water, but you might have had a dream about water.
A dream about water. I dreamed that I had a glass of water and that I dove in.
Well, maybe I should address him, because I had a dream last night that I found a brand new kitty, a little black kitty. And at one point, after I'd been cuddling the little black kitty, I decided it was hungry. And so I cut up some fruit for him to eat in tiny little pieces like I would do for our birds. And before I knew it, instead of a kitty, it was a parakeet, a very friendly parakeet. And I would hold out my finger, and wherever the parakeet was in the house, it would fly and land on my finger. So that might be something your therapist would be interested in. Even if it doesn't apply directly to you, I think the fact that I'm on this trip with you means that this dream is about you. Here comes our food. Thank you very much.
Any Red Hat or Tabasco?
No, thanks.
No, thank you.
Okay, enjoy.
Thank you.
Are we still on?
Yes, we are.
Damn it. Just kidding, of course.
This is all for Mark's
I think he just
benefit.
loved, my therapist would love to deal with that issue, because that could take months.
Yes, it could. Well, we should remind everybody that you are listening to the second installment of our birding trip to Magee Marsh, and we apologize again if there has inadvertently been any content in either
no
of these.
worries, as they say these days.
Yes, in either of these two podcasts, because when we do shows about birding, we really don't like them to be about birding.
It's because we know nothing about it.
Right. So we're going to, after we eat breakfast, which I'm just about to start eating now, we're going to head over to Magee Marsh and see. How's that food, Bill?
It's not bad.
And then we're going to see what kind of luck we have today, and we will check back and let you know how things are. You're listening to What Were You Thinking on Pet Life Radio, available through iTunes, produced by Mr. Mark Winter, who is responsible for all the content. And we will be right back after a word from our sponsors.
What Were You Thinking? We'll be right back after Bob gets the ducks out of his living room. Don't go away.
Active for Pets is a new wellness platform and app that helps pet parents save time and money on their vet bills. Stop paying for unnecessary vet treatments. Consult with the vet online. Get unlimited access to your pet's entire health history from any computer or smartphone with the Active for Pets app. Vaccinations, medications, test results, and more. Active for Pets gives you access to a team of expert vets for non-emergency care. Make an appointment before, during, or after office hours. Skip the waiting room and get a secure online vet consult on your schedule. Taking care of your pets is as easy as it gets with Active for Pets. Ready to try Active for Pets? Listeners get 40% off a one-year membership. To get this great offer, use promo code PETLIFE on the sign-up page of active4pets.com. That's ACTIV, the number 4, PETS.com. Or call 888-512-2848.
Amazing Pet Expos is coming to a city near you. Admission is always free, and your pet is welcome. Shopping, adoptions, free nail trims, discounted shots and microchipping, agility, a pet costume contest, and much more. Plus, meet the guys from Animal Planet's hit TV series Tanked and Pit Boss. Online at AmazingPetExpos.com.
Bring your pets to the Pet Expo.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com. Okay, ducks are in the pond, rabbits in his hutch, and monkeys... Ow! In my car! Oh, okay, well, I go check my insurance policy. We'll turn you back over to Bob.
So here we are on the Estuary Trail with Bill Holm is with me, and I'm going to prove to Bill that birders, not warblers, although one of the birders was singing, so he was technically a warbler. But I'm going to prove to Bill that birders are actually nice people, and I'm going to go up to a birder here, and I'm going to ask him what he's seeing today. So, okay. Sir? Excuse me, sir. Have you seen a prothonotary warbler today?
None of your business.
Oh. Well, they're not all like that. Oh, okay, here's a very nice woman up here. I'm going to talk to her. Oh, look at her smile. I'm going to talk to her. Excuse me, ma'am? Ma'am, have you seen any prothonotary warblers today?
Buzz off!
Oh, well, maybe Bill is right about that. Hi, we're back, and I shouldn't say we're back because... Hi, here we are on the Estuary Trail at Magee Marsh. We are finally at a part that's a little less windy, and you can hear Mr. Catbird wishing you a merry day.
The Catbird is providing the only information available in this podcast.
Well, Yellow Warbler could be singing in a moment.
Oh, yeah, well, there are others. There's information available.
But we just decided that you, the listener, deserve. See, I took a couple ibuprofen, and it's addled my mind. I'll share our listeners the story of why I had to take one.
It's not necessary to tell that story,
But I thought our listeners would enjoy hearing these birds while we wrap up this fascinating podcast. Is a miserable, gloomy morning here, up until we're about to leave, and then the sun comes out.
Ain't that the way it is?
Yeah. So
There's another Ain't That the Way It Is coming up.
Okay, so we're on the boardwalk trail, and it is just so crowded today. I would say that there's about one bird for every 1,500 people, would you say?
That's about right.
Yeah, and you have to kind of squeeze past people on both sides of the railing, and it's not pleasant.
You can only see 1/1500th of a bird at a time.
You can, and it's not pleasant squeezing through those people.
Right.
Luckily, I have a camera with a really big lens, and it whacks them in the back. And so they tend to move a little bit.
Sometimes they don't budge. They're oblivious. It's the oblivious trail.
Yeah. Although one woman said, "Is that your lens, or are you some kind of a pervert?"
Yeah.
So anyway, it turned out on the Estuary Trail, we had a pretty nice time. We saw a Swainson's thrush. We saw many yellow warblers, many gray catbirds, many warbling vireos, and a gentleman pointed out, what was that shorebird we just saw?
A Rudyard tombstone.
That's right. And, there's another little bird. And so that actually I'm actually feeling a little more pleasant than I have, although my neck hurts. We'll get back to that about the
There's
neck.
no need to, dwell on your own problems.
Yep. But I didn't think that people were too good of a mood today. Maybe now that the sun is out, they'll be in a better mood. But I
think it makes it worse, actually, because then they get more competitive.
Yeah, but that was nasty on the border. We've been here before when it was crowded, but I think this is the worst that it's ever been.
I agree. I mean, I run into all kinds of problems on the boardwalk. I
don't mind it when there's 1,000 birds and one bird per person. And then I don't mind it if it's crowded because you just stand there and you don't have to go anywhere and the birds come to you. I think we've said that in years past. The birds came to us. And even though I didn't see everything I want, and even though my philosophy that this year was going to be, we're going to see them all. We really didn't. There are some birds I wanted to see I didn't, but we did good. I didn't count how many.
There's a yellow rump right there.
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute. Sorry. I have to make a wardrobe adjustment. Okay, sorry.
Maybe that's a chestnut-sided.
Really?
It's hard to tell, isn't it?
I don't know.
It's gone now.
Oh, okay. It's gone.
Conveniently.
So, actually, it turned out to be a pretty nice day once the sun is out, and I'm surprised that this Estuary Trail is really, there's a lot of birds here. It's a lot more pleasant experience. It gives a man room to be a man.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Okay. And we can sit here and do a podcast with the accompaniment of a catbird and some other birds. Little housekeeping I have to do before we go too much further. Okay, we got that out of the way. Author appearances. I still do author appearances once in a while.
You do?
Yep, and there's one coming up at... You have to check your local listings because I'm actually going across the Great Lakes area, mostly in Michigan. Okay, mostly in just Michigan and Grand Rapids and Kalamazoo. Lowell. Well, it's not in Lowell because this will be a popular event. I'm going to be in front of Toys R Us.
Oh, well, that's something.
Yeah, Toys R Us store. And you might not recognize me right away because I'm going to be in a giraffe costume. But I'll be there, so if you see Jeffrey the giraffe, it's actually Bob the unpopular author. So, come over and clap me on the back and
be
wish
careful.
me some condolences.
Be careful. You can also tell it's Bob by the little strange angle that the long giraffe's neck will be at.
Yes, that's true. That's absolutely true. Because
I thought you had a stroke there for a second.
I was looking at this podcast at how much time we're burning up, and what was funny was the time actually seemed to be moving backward.
Well,
I'm going to put my glasses on because I can't believe it's only been five.
For the
it's only been 5 minutes.
No,
yeah,
we've been standing here for like 20 minutes. People walk by and they're looking at us. And
so anyway, I have these chronic neck problems, and my neck had actually been doing pretty darn good. And but there's a little incident this morning that actually made me yell "ouch" quite loud.
Oh yeah, it was, and I'll take it. I must bear some responsibility for that.
We were on our way to breakfast.
We were on our way to breakfast at Diana's.
Yes, and we recorded from there, and you can see that I really put a good face on the pain, and I didn't let on to the reader, except for some sobbing, to the listener or the reader, that, well, some people, will be reading the transcript of the show rather than listening to it.
Oh, of course they will.
Yeah. I've hired some folks in Asia to do transcripts.
They do that overnight,
They do.
All right, so we're it's only like 2 blocks from the Holiday Inn Express to Diana's, which has a Greek flair, by the way. And so
they're having a construction team come in and correct that flare because they're afraid that it might cause some leakage in the roof. But go ahead.
Good point. It's Ohio Health Code, I think.
Yeah.
Beware of Greeks with restaurants.
Yes.
Anyway.
Oh, it's just a minute. Ma'am, I think there's a Swainson's thrush over there. Get away from me, you brute! I just love birders, don't you?
Jeez. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I mean, you've defended them in the past, and I just don't know. Anyway, so we're driving. I'm driving. I'm driving. And oddly enough, I don't know if this is technically irony, but it certainly is interesting. Driving along, and I see a bird in the road. And, typically birds fly off as a car approaches. This one did not. And as I approached, I didn't have a lot of room, and I jerked the steering wheel to the left. And to avoid this bird, and I didn't want to hurt the bird, and
instead of hurting the bird,
I hear this cry from the passenger seat,
and tears just spilling onto the dashboard.
It was onto my nice leather, and
onto the dashboard.
Yeah. And then this froze. I looked over at Bob, and he was frozen in place, like something had snapped.
Yes, and it did, and my chronic neck problem,
well, as a result of that, I want to dedicate my entire appearance to Bob.
Really?
I want to make this a tribute to Bob for carrying on nobly despite the pain and the copious amounts of drugs that were immediately consumed right after it. I mean,
where am I?
Exactly. And
do I know you?
Buzz off.
Did you do those voices?
I did not. No. I did not. That was not me.
So a tribute. That's very kind of you. I got one tribute yesterday from my 3 lady fans.
No, you sure did. You got a triple tribute.
Yes.
And so I really think it's brave of you to be walking around like this when you easily could be in some emergency room someplace.
Well, actually, I think it worked out for the best because when I get a chiropractic adjustment, I need an adjustment on both sides because there's 2 spots where I have pain, and you actually corrected one side. So maybe if we miss a bird on the other side of the row on the way back, then I won't have to go to the chiropractor at all.
I'll do my best. The important thing is, though, that the bird, which was eating something in the road, I didn't point that out. It was so focused. had its little breakfast, that it didn't see me coming. But I saved its life.
You did save its life, and that was incredible. So I guess that's it for this podcast. We want to apologize again to our producer, Mark Winter.
God, I feel so sorry for him.
And I also want to apologize for making so much of this podcast about him, because it's got to just be a big embarrassment.
Yes, as this entire experience has been. But I'm going to dedicate my appearance today to Mark. And I want to apologize to Mark for thinking his last name is Winston from time to time.
You didn't even say that, did you?
No, I did not, but this is full disclosure.
Okay. And possibly he was a smoker when he was younger. I don't know. Maybe that's it. I don't know. I'm not jumping to any conclusions. Well, so that's the end of our... I hope this information... If anyone who... if my book Featherbrained ever comes out and you read it and you want to know more about birds and birding, I hope that these 2 podcasts from Magee Marsh in 2015 were educational and gave you the information, the energy, and the enthusiasm that you need to get out there and get birding, because we want to see them all.
So, bye-bye. Bye.
Thinking about buying a monkey? How about a ferret or a skunk? Then check out the show that will answer the burning questions. Where do you get them? What do you feed them? How do you take care of them? And most of all, what were you thinking? With exotic pet expert and author Bob Tarte. Every week on demand from PetLifeRadio.com.